Good evening. MA Philosophy MAPY MGP-005 Unit number 15 The Religious Harmony Introduction. All religions in the world teach love and tolerance, but yet it is not very uncommon to hear violence and bloodshed in the name of religion. The tension in Israel and Palestine between Jews and Muslims, in Ireland between Catholics and Protestants, in India the inter-community discord and ensuing conflicts pose serious questions before us. Does religion talk about harmony or intolerance? Does religion talk about harmony or intolerance? To find answer to this in Indian context, we need to deliberate on the spirit of religious tolerance visible in our historical tradition and the religious philosophy of great Indian thinkers. It is important to understand that in a pluralistic society like ours, interreligious tolerance and cooperation are crucial for the survival of nation. In the contemporary world, when people of different religious traditions have decided to make a country of their choice as their home, the spirit of religious tolerance is essential to avoid inter-religious tensions and conflicts. In this unit, we will meaning of religion begin with the meaning of religion, and then we will explain in historical context how the different religions prevailing in India strongly believe in reverence for human life and preach tolerance towards the believers of other religion. We will also familiarize you with the ideas of some great Indian thinkers on religion and humanity. This may help you in understanding that true religion does not encourage intolerance. Rather, it teaches humility and tolerance and contributes to durable peace in the society. Aims and objective. After reading this unit, you will be able to define religion, explain how religious tolerance is viewed as the guiding spirit of our religious tradition, analyze the way to ensure the spirit of religious harmony if peace has to prevail. Defining religion. Religion is realization, not talk, nor doctrine, nor theories, however beautiful they may be. It is being and becoming, not hearing or acknowledging. It is the whole soul becoming change into what it believes. That is religion. Swami Vivekananda. However, philosophers and scholars have differences on the definition of religion in the multi-ethnic and philosophically diverse global culture. Defining religion seems more elusive. The following definition of religion is given in the Oxford Dictionary: the belief in and worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods, a particular system of faith and worship, and a pursuit or interest followed with devotion. In explaining what constitutes religion, the Encyclopedia of Philosophy suggests a list of traits across diverse culture. These are belief in supernatural beings, a distinction between sacred and profane objects, ritual acts focused on sacred objects, a moral code believed to be sanctioned by the courts, prayer and other forms of communication with gods, etc. Numerous issues may be raised in defining religion, but commonly one understands religion as belief in something sacred and prayer and other forms of communication with a supernatural controlling power. Worship is perhaps the most basic element of religion, but moral conduct, right belief, and participation in religious ceremonies, services, and institutions are also constituent element of the religious life as practiced by believers and worshippers and as commanded by religious scriptures and sages. Believing in something supernatural even existed in early civilizations like Egypt, Harappa, Mesopotamia, and other parts of the world. Equally important to understand is the expression of religious feelings and beliefs in diverse ways, which has resulted in different kinds of religious doctrine, rituals in the world. Plurality of religion is not only a fact but also a necessity for the development of society. Mahatma Gandhi very aptly observed that the soul of the religion is one but is encased in a multitude of forms. Indian religious traditions. We are going to discuss the importance of Indian tolerance in the context of India, although the spirit of religious tolerance is equally important in the context of other countries as well. India is known for its tolerant and liberal attitude towards people of different beliefs from historical times. Major religions practiced in India are Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, and Sikhism. It would not be out of place to familiarize you with the evolution of various religious traditions in India. When we talk about Indian religious traditions in historical context, the first thing that comes to our mind is the religious practices of the Harappan people. Based on archaeological findings, it is suggested that the Harappan people believed in the supernatural force and they worshipped deities, both male and female, and also developed religious practices and symbolism. This was followed by the Vedic civilization, which saw the composition of the Rig Veda, the Yajurveda, the Samveda, and the Atharvaveda, and each of these having fourfold subdivisions: the Samhitas, the Brahmanas, the Aranikas, and the Upanishads. Although rituals and sacrifices constituted the most important feature of the Vedic religion, in the Upanishadic period we find that ritualistic part of religion was relegated to a lesser important position. The goal of life, according to the Upanishads, is realization of Brahman. The realization alone can dispel ignorance and bestow immortality. Religion is not a search for a creed, but a search for the experience of God. A search in which questioning and inquiry hold a high place together with faith. Hinduism is based on the corpus of Vedic texts like religion, Vedic texts, unlike religions like Jainism, Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity, which began with historical founders and their teachings codified in a single sacred text or a group of texts regarded as the canon. With the development of other with the development of other religious texts like Dharmsastra, Dharmsastras, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and the Puranas, new feature and values were added to Hinduism, but the basic tenets of Hinduism, religious tolerance and religious pluralism, remain unchanged. According to Bhikkhu Parekh, in spite of doctrinal differences and sectarian quarrels, the Hindu religious tradition succeeded because it places tolerance at the center of morality and religion and avoids the all too familiar monastic disputes about which way of life is the best and should be imposed on others. Krishna says in the Gita, whatever may be the form in which each devotee seeks to worship me with faith, I make their faith steadfast in that form alone. Both Jainism and Buddhism originated in India around 6th century BC as a protest against the Brahminical authority and ritualism of Hinduism. It is also seen as a consequence of changes in society and polity of the period. According to Jainism, the universe is eternal and God has nothing to do with creation of the universe. The Jain philosophy divides the world primarily into the duality of Jiva and Ajiv. Jainism starts with the premise that the soul is found entangled with karma since eternity. Accumulated karmic matter blocks the path of knowledge and happiness. Right faith, right knowledge, and right conduct offer a graduated pathway towards liberation, which lays that people and Mendicants can follow according to their views. The Gospel of the Buddha avoided all hypotheses regarding the unknown and distanced itself from ritualism, theology, and metaphysics. Buddhism stays on the perfection of character and devotion to virtues. The basic teachings of the Buddha are centered on the reality of human sufferings and the need to find ways of lasting relief from all forms of discontent. Peaceful and blissful enlightenment is achieved through a gradual training, a path which is called the Eightfold Path, consisting of the diligent cultivation of virtue, meditation, and wisdom. Islam originated in the West Asia, and the following Islamic incursions into northern and central India. Since the 11th century, Islam gradually spread in India. Islamic religious thought is based on the recognition of the unity of the Creator and of man's submission to his will. Faith is one and only one. God has contributed to the concept of unity in multiplicity. Islam speaks of equality and justice to all. It believes in universal brotherhood and a bond of faith among its followers. The Quran affirms all creatures are members of one family of God. Sikhism was founded by Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak's teachings were strictly monotheistic, without scope of the worship of any deity or human teacher. His teachings emphasized equality and good actions, transcending the boundaries of color, caste, and creed. While in Mecca, he was asked who was superior, a Hindu or a Muslim, to which a guru replied that without good actions, both were of no consequence. Truth is high, but higher still is truthful living, said Guru Nanak. Christianity began with Jesus. The Jews were under the Roman domination and they were very much opposed to the Roman intervention in their life and culture. Jesus, through his teachings, showed hope to the people and preached that the kingdom of God is rooted in service and love. In India, Christianity reached with Saint Thomas in the early years, but later on European merchants and missionaries further facilitated the spread of Christianity. Christianity emphasizes love as the essential basis for action and thinking. There is no place for violence. The Bible says, "No man liveth unto himself." We are all parts of the one another. God hath made of one blood all nations that dwell upon the face of the earth. With this brief introduction to the essence of With this brief introduction to the essence of major religious traditions prevailing in India, because of certain historical context, India has become the home of believers of various religions. Each religion, in its own way, has prescribed to its believers values to be practiced in life. At a fundamental level, there was recognition of the essential unity of all religions. The message of universal brotherhood is common to all religions. Dogmatism, fanaticism, and exclusivism do not get primacy in any of the religious religion. Still, different schools and sects emerge within a particular religion, and some among them, some dogmatic and practiced in insularity, failing failing to understand and appreciate the essence and value of diversity of religions and the principle of tolerance and coexistence. Time and again, we have witnessed religious conflicts causing great human sufferings. Before we discuss further on issues pertaining to religious tolerance in the following section, we would explain how Indian thinkers stressed on the essence of religious tolerance and peace. Indian thinkers on religious harmony. Concern for religious tolerance and harmony was expressed at different times in our society. Due to tensions in the name of religion, in ancient India, great ruler Asoka preached the merit of religious harmony, and in medieval India, the same was echoed in the religious policy of Akbar. The Rock Edict 12 of Asoka suggests the faiths of others deserve to be honored for one reason or another. By honoring them, one exalts one's own faith and at the same time performs a service of the faith of others. Akbar was extremely supportive of religious tolerance and he made it a recognized duty of a state to make sure that no man should be inferred with on account of religion, and anyone is to be allowed to go over to the religion that pleases him. During modern times in the India in the world Parliament of Religions in 1893 at America, Swami Vivekananda said, "I am proud to belong to a nation which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. We believe not only in universal tolerance, but we accept all religions as true. One has to break down the small barriers of one's own world and to strive for the world which belongs to all of us. The Lord has declared to the Hindu and his incarnation as Krishna, I am in every religion that the thread uh, through the string of pearls. Whenever thou seest extraordinary power rising and purifying humanity, know thou that I am there. And what has been the result? I challenge the world to find throughout the whole system of Sanskrit philosophy any such expression as that the Hindu alone will be saved and not others. Swami Vivekananda wrote, I accept all the religions that were in the past and worship them all. I worship God with every one of them in whatever form they worship Him. I shall go to the mosque of Mohammedan. I shall enter the Christian's church and kneel before the crucifix. I shall enter the Buddhist temple where I shall take refuge in Buddha and in his law. I shall go into the forest and sit down in meditation with the Hindu who is trying to find the light which enlightens the heart of everyone. In his address to the World Parliament of Religion, Vivekananda asserted sectarianism, bigotry, and its horrible descendants, fanaticism, have long possessed this beautiful earth. They have filled the earth with violence, drenched it often with human blood, destroyed civilization, and sent whole nations to despair. I fervently hope that the bell that tolled this morning in honor of this convention may be the death knell of all fanaticism, of all persecutions with the sword or with the pen, and of all uncharitable feelings between persons wending their way to the same goal. Gandhi wrote that I feel for and about Hinduism and with its faults and limitations. Nothing elates me so much as the music of the Gita or the Ramayana by Tulsidas, the only two books in Hinduism I may be said to know. I know the voice that is going on today in all the great Hindu shrines, but I love them in spite of their unspeakable failings. Hinduism is not an exclusive religion. In it, there is room for the worship of all the prophets of the world. It is not a missionary religion in the ordinary sense of the term. It has no doubt absorbed many tribes and its fold, but this absorption has been of an evolutionary, imperceptible character. Hinduism tells everyone to worship God according to his own faith and or dharma, and so it lives at peace with all the religions. Gandhi repeatedly spoke of harmony and coexistence. He said, by religion, I do not mean formal religion or customary religion, but that religion which underlies our religions, which brings us face to face with our Maker. Indeed, religion should pervade every one of our actions. Here, religion does not mean sectarianism, it means a belief in ordered moral government of the universe. It is not less real because it is unseen. The religion transcends Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, etc. It harmonizes them with them and gives them reality. Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, in his Hindu view of life, wrote, while fixed intellectual beliefs mark off one religion from another, Hinduism sets no such limits. The Hindu thinker readily admits the other points of view than his own and considers them just as worthy of attention as his own. References given above on the thinking of some prominent Indian thinkers on religious tolerance can be extended further. From the beginning, the spirit of tolerance and accommodation formed the core of Indian religious tradition. If we look back to India's ancient religious tradition, we find that even in the days of Brahminical religion dominated by ritualism and priestcraft, there was tolerance for understanding the dissenting religious thought. Otherwise, how could one explain to emergence of different religious ideas in the form of Jainism and Buddhism, who challenged the Vedic ritualism and practice of casteism? The school of materialism, called the Charvaka, did not believe in rebirth and transmigration of soul. Teachers like Kasyapa and Katyayana questioned the role of karma on the soul. In the epic period also, we find that there was great tolerance towards religious opinions and teachings which were not in tune with the dominant religious tradition. Even in modern period, within Hinduism, we find Raja Ram Mohan Rai, Ramakrishna Paramhans, Dayanand Saraswati, and many others who did not speak in same wavelength and were critical also of certain aspect of Hinduism. But all these did not breed intolerance and put one sect against the other. This rather acknowledges the spirit of diversity in Indian religious tradition and strengthens the virtue of secularism. Secularism here needs to be understood in the context of our civilization, which has always given the space to individual to practice religion according to his belief and conviction. Secularism ensures others right to religion and reasoning. Deviating from this lead to fundamentalism and fanaticism. Gandhi's definition of secularism as Sarvadharm Sambhav, treating all religions equally, can be considered as most appropriate way of explaining secularism. The major strength of the Gandhian argument is that it has used the enormous power of religious belief in favor of a practice of political tolerance, instead of suggesting misleading that to practice tolerance one had to relinquish religious thinking altogether and accept an atheistic secularism. In a pluralistic society like ours, where different religious traditions along with number of sects coexist, cultural pluralism must be respected. Readings of the Veda and the Upanishads show in clear terms that long before the emergence of different religious sects and institutions that are today called Hindu, there was an acute realization that there was a level of immanence and transcendence. The vision of the human world here is of concord and harmony. The entire universe was conceived of as a large family, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, the way to religious harmony and peace. At the moment when religion seems to have become the principal divisive force in the world, at the very moment of the full flowering of modern materialistic civilization, perhaps it is crucial to understand the way to religious tolerance. We are living in a world today which is pluralistic and multicultural. Industrialization, liberalization, and globalization, cutting across regional, religious, and other boundaries, brought communities together. New ideas, beliefs, and cultural movement have contributed to cultural diversity. We all know that of centuries India has been a multi-religious society. In an essay titled Tagore and His India, Amar Sen argued not to see the contemporary world as a clash of civilization with the Muslim civilization, the Hindu civilization, and the Western civilization. Rabindranath Tagore described his family as the product of a confluence of three cultures: Hindu, Mohammedan, and British. Rabindranath would be shocked by the growth of cultural separatism in India as elsewhere. The openness that he valued so much is certainly under great strain right now in many countries. The importance of reasoning and freedom we find in the writings of Tagore may help us in understanding the value of various traditions and a non-sectarian outlook. But still, we fail to appreciate the greatness in the religion of others. Gandhi, who stood for peace and religious tolerance, became a victim of interreligious violence. It is the fact that religious diversity in the past as well as in the contemporary times has caused social and political conflicts. But this cannot drive us away from religion. We believe or do not believe in religion. We are born as either Hindu or Muslim or Christian. Our religious identity is one among various other identities like national, regional, linguistic, caste, class, gender, etc. Even within a particular religious identity, we may find differences among its believers on various issues. Based on religious differences, Pakistan was created in 1947 at the cost of human sufferings, and so did the creation of Bangladesh. Became a Bengali Muslims felt oppressed under the non-Bengali Muslims. Ahmad Sin has observed the Islamic identity can be one of the identities the person regards as important, perhaps even crucial, but without thereby denying that there are other identities that may also be significant. What is often called the Islamic world does, of course, have a preponderance of Muslims, but different persons who are all Muslim can and do vary greatly in other respects, such as political and social values, economic and literary pursuits, professional and political, professional and philosophical involvements, attitude to the West, and so on. The same is applicable for other religions also like Hinduism, Christianity, Sikhism, etc. Religious disharmony need not necessarily place one religion against the other. There may be occasions when people within the same religion may fight to establish one's dominance over the other. In case of conflicts, if one individual or a group of people belonging to a particular religion engage in conflict with others belonging to different religion, we should not blame the religion of those people, because in every religion we find people of different ethical or moral values having different interests. In the past as well as in the present, people of different religions have lived together. Therefore, the challenge before us is how to face the religious fundamentalist. Bhikkhu Parekh, in an article "Dialogue Between Cultures," has explained that instead of suppressing the voices of the fundamentalist, one must opt for dialogue to win over the fundamentalist. Any oppressive measure may provoke social instability, threatening the civil liberties of ordinary citizens. Fundamentalists not necessarily are homogeneous group. Efforts should be made to argue with them and expose their hollowness and to create a rift within their rank. The fundamentalist cannot avoid appealing to reason and accepting the discipline of the dialogue. We must not therefore give up on them altogether and should listen to them, understand them, and win them over to the rules of dialogical democracy. We should live by our values, not theirs, and our commitment to dialogues requires us to exclude none. This perception of Bhikkhu Parekh holds the merit. In any democratic setup, dialogue helps in resolving any deadlock. Gandhian philosophy based on non-violence and satyagraha always emphasize winning over the enemies through a process of dialogue and positive actions. It is through public pressure drawing upon our great traditions that efforts have to be made to prevail upon those who try to misuse religion identity for short-term gains. It would be apt to remember Vivekananda's assertion for religious harmony. He said, "Much has been said of the common ground of religious unity. I am not going to venture my own theory, but if anyone here hopes that this unity will come by the triumph of any of the religions and the destruction of the others, to him I say, brother, yours is an impossible hope. Do I wish that Christian would become Hindu? God forbid. Do I wish that Hindu or Buddhist would become Christian? God forbid. If the parliament of religions have shown anything to the world, it is this. It has proved to the world that holiness, purity, and charity are not the exclusive possessions of any church in the world, and that every system has produced men and women of the most exalted character, help and not fight, assimilation and not destruction, harmony and peace are peace and not dissension. Complete works of Swami Vivekananda. The core concern of every religion is the well-being of humankind and to help every individual to realize the ultimate truth of human life. Where whenever people try to create discord in the society, misusing the basic tenets of religion, in the long run they failed in their mission and harmony prevailed upon conflicts. As a citizen, we have to raise our voice against the misuse of religion and allow people to live according to their respective beliefs. Summary: in the past as well as in the recent years, we have witnessed conflicts and tensions in societies in the name of religion. We have explained that all religions teach the ways to realize the ultimate reality, or one may call God. We have discussed how India became the home of various religious traditions. The Hindu religious tradition, because of its tolerant spirit, succeeded in living with doctrinal differences. Great Indian thinkers drew our attention to this unique religious pluralism. The challenge before us is how to put into practice the spirit of tolerance. When people misuse our religious identity in a democratic society, dialogue is the best means to persuade people to adopt the true spirit of religion. We have to be vigilant and active in educating people about the true spirit of religion. We may end with what Rabindranath Tagore spoke on religion in England. It is significant that all great religions have their historic origin in persons who represented in their life a truth which was not cosmic and unmoral, but human and good. They rescued religion from the magic stronghold of demon force and brought it into the inner heart of humanity, into a fulfillment not confined to some exclusive good fortune of the individual but to the welfare of all men. This was not for the spiritual ecstasy of lonely souls, but for the spiritual emancipation of all races. They came as the messenger of men to all countries and spoke of a salvation that could only be reached by the perfecting of our relationship with men and eternal, man and divine. Thank you. Good evening. MA Philosophy, MAPY, MGP-005, Unit number 16, Peace Movements. Peace is indispensable for the very survival of mankind. Maintenance of domestic and international peace is imperative today. The two world wars have taken the toll of humanity. Ensuring a genuine and stable peace is the major challenge facing the nation states today. However, since the end of the Cold War, efforts to establish a world without arms and armed conflict have in fact failed. There have been numerous interstate and interstate conflicts across states, the most affected being the states in Asia, Latin America, and Africa. The long drawn conflict in West Asia between Israel and the states backing the Palestinian, the India Pakistan conflict have resulted in perennial tension and uncertainty pervading not only within the affected states region but also the international arena. It is in this light that the establishment of peace and peace movements attain relevance and significance. There have been several peace movements in different parts of the world, yet a world sense conflict is still a far cry. Though the United Nations UN has to an extent played a major role in stalling another world war, the several conflicts waves still raising in different countries regions manifest the lack of manifest the lack of Lack of a sincere efforts by nations to absorb violence. It is in these circumstances that the role of peace movements across nations becomes very important today. Aims and objectives. This unit would enable you to comprehend the concept of peace movements, trace the history and role of peace movements across nations, strengthen the ethos of peace, negating the recourse to violence in both domestic and international milieu. What is a peace movement? A peace movement is a social movement that seeks to achieve ideals such as the ending of a particular war conflict, or all wars conflicts, minimize interhuman violence in a particular place or type of situation, often linked to the goal of achieving world peace. The means to achieve these ends include advocacy of pacifism, non-violent resistance, diplomacy or boycott, moral persuasion, supporting anti-war political candidate, demonstrations, and forming using national political lobbying group to create legislation. The political cooperative is an example of an organization that seeks to merge all peace movement organizations and green setups, which may have some diverse goals, but all of whom have the common goal of peace and human sustainability. Some refer to the global loose affiliations of activists and political interest as having a shared purpose, and this continuing a single movement, the peace movement encompassing the anti-war movement. Viewed in this light, the two are often indistinguishable and constitute a loose, reactive, event-driven collaboration between groups and with motivations as diverse as humanism, nationalism, environmentalism, anti-racism, anti-sexism, decentralization, hospitality, ideology, theology, and fear. The duality of peace concept. The concept of peace has two connotations: negative peace and positive peace. Negative peace is defined as not only the absence of organized organized violence between such major human groups as nations, but also between racial and ethnic groups because of the magnitude that can be reached by internal wars. Positive peace is defined as a pattern of cooperation and integration between major human groups. Absence of violence should not be confused with absence of conflict. Violence may occur without conflict, and conflict may be resolved by means of non-violent mechanism. The distinction between these two types of peace gives to a fourfold classification of relations between two nations. War, which is organized group violence; negative peace, where there is no violence but no other form of interaction either, and where the best characterization is peaceful coexistence. Positive peace, where there is some cooperation with occasional outbreaks of violence, and unqualified peace. Unqualified peace, where absence of violence is combined with a pattern of cooperation. The concept of peace as non-war is neither theoretically nor practically interesting. For example, in describing the relationship that obtains between Norway and Nepal, it can often be explained in terms of a low level of interaction resulting from geographical distance, and thus will hardly be identified by many as ideal relations worth striving for. For peace, like health, has both cognitive and evaluative components. It designates a state of system of nations, but this state is so highly valued that institutions are built around it to protect and promote it. It is the concept of positive peace that is worth exploring, especially since negative peace is a condition sine qua non, and the two concepts of peace may be empirically related, even though they are logically independent. In the absence of solid empirical research and a coherent peace theory, the concept of peace can be explicated by means of examining peace thinking. Just as there is no lack of attention paid to war, so there is no scarcity of peace plans, and an extensive typology would be needed to do justice to most of the latter. Peace is a problem of social organization, and the theory of peace and war will hopefully someday subsumed under the general theory of social organization. Diversity of ideals. There is much confusion over what peace is or should be, which results a in a plurality of movements seeking diverse ideals of peace. Particularly, anti-war movements have often ill-defined goals. It is often not clear whether a movement or a particular protest is against war in general, as in pacifism, or against one side's participation in a war, but not the others. Indeed, some observers feel that this lack of clarity has represented a key part of the propaganda strategy of those seeking victory, as in the Vietnam War. Global protests against the US invasion of Iraq in early 2003 are an, uh, are an example of a more specific short-term and loosely affiliated single-issue movement with relatively scattered ideological priorities, ranging from absolutist pacifism to Islamism and anti-Americanism. Nonetheless, some of those who are involved in several such short-term movements and build up trust relationships with others within them do tend to eventually join more global or long-term movements. In direct contrast, some elements of the global peace movement seek to guarantee health securing by ending war and assuring what they see as basic human rights, including the right of all people to have access to air, water, food, shelter, and healthcare. Large cadres of activists seek social justice in the form of equal protection under the law and equal opportunity under the law for groups that have previously been disenfranchised. The movement is primarily characterized by a belief that humans should not wage war on each other and engage in violent ethnic conflicts over language, race, and natural resources, or ethical conflict over religion or ideology. Long-term opponents of war preparations are primarily characterized by a belief that military power is not the equivalent of justice. The movement tend to oppose the proliferation of dangerous technologies and weapons of mass destruction, in particular nuclear weapons and biological warfare. Moreover,